listening to Chris Talks Cars on Cartoon Channel.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Chris Talks Cars. My name is Chris Goodin, and I am joined once again by my good friend, a man that wants to Triton swap your LS, Mr. Brandon Cole.
Hey, man, I don't like Ford that much. Come on.
Oh, man. So this is our first episode back in a while, and we're just going to kind of go over some of the stuff that's happened since we've been gone. A lot of stuff happening personally in our cars and then in the vehicle world in general. But let's start off with a loss in the vehicle world. We've both suffered losses. My Ram, I finally sold, which was a bittersweet goodbye. And Brandon, what'd you get rid of?
Oh, we got rid of our adventure vehicle. The Cherokee is gone, but it was a lease, so we knew it was going to happen eventually. But we replaced it with something great. We got
you got rid of something else too since then.
Did I?
You got rid of the Bronco.
Oh, the Bronco's gone. Yes. Yeah, some guy made me an offer that was like more than I paid, and I was like, "Yeah, you can have it."
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But anyways, we got rid of the Cherokee and we got a Ford Explorer with the 3.5 twin turbo EcoBoost. And it's great. Buddy. It's definitely the fastest SUV we've ever owned.
It better be faster than the NA V6 in the Cherokee. That's for sure.
Hey, that Cherokee with a 3.2 V6 was surprisingly quick, to be honest. It really was not slow. But yeah, this 365 horse EcoBoost is definitely like a sport SUV. It's fun to drive.
Heck yeah, man. And then once you put a little boost juice in there, a little E85, a little meth.
Yeah. So it's a 2015. So one of the things they're known for is the clogging of the intake valves from the oil that comes through the crankcase and has to go back through the engine. All that just kind of burns up on there. So there's two things we got to do. We got to get a catch can for it. So it kind of helps just prevent it from happening in the future. And then we're going to do a meth kit. It has a lot of good benefits to it, but one of them is cleaning up a lot of that. So we're going to do a meth kit here pretty soon, the next few weeks. And hopefully it has some good fuel economy.
For maintenance.
Yeah, for maintenance. That's what I told my wife. I was like, man, good fuel economy, and it's going to fix this little problem, and it's going to make a little bit more horsepower. I might get a little tune
worry
on
about
it.
That. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, though, they don't make that much power with meth. It will make a little bit more, especially if you get a good tune to go with it. But yeah, ultimately, it definitely has a lot of good benefits to it. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun vehicle. Just hold me over until whatever my next adventures in cars is going to be.
Heck yeah, man. I've been doing some research myself. I go back and forth between a lot of stuff, but I just keep coming back to C5, C6 Corvette. Like the starting platform of that, even the C5, the base motor, the 5.7, like that's such a killer starting point. Like you could have a 4.8 in that thing and throw two
timeless.
Yeah, even something as small as the 4.8, and you could have a blast. And starting out the 5.7 is just that much better.
These days, I would drive that with like an exhaust and nothing else. I would be okay with it. Like I just really like C5s. They're good looking. They're timeless. I really like them.
Yeah, I want a root supercharger. That's the first thing. Just a big fat blower.
On a Corvette?
Yes, of course.
You're gonna lose your hood.
That's fine. That's perfect. We don't need hoods where we're going, Brandon. That's the race car. That's the street car, race car.
I feel you.
I've got a Honda that's got a hood on it. That's fine.
Oh, we can take that off too.
No, the Honda's gonna stay the daily. Nice and quiet. No loud Hondas here.
So this Hummer's coming back.
Yeah, in a form that is kind of unexpected. Like the Hummer, in my opinion, at least, has always been like the most American in the most blatant way possible. Like 2 miles a gallon, like a lane and a half wide, go anywhere, like badass vehicle. And to go full electric is like unexpected to me.
Well, I see. Okay. It is unexpected because of what Hummer's name is. It just doesn't go with what they built their brand on. But if you don't go electric, you're just going to get left in the dust. Everything's going to go electric eventually. So you might as well just get on the train. But this is what gets me on it. So yeah, you go every article you go and read in bold letters, it's 1,000 horsepower. Okay.
Right.
That's wow. Right. That's a lot of horsepower. That's not even what like has me in awe right now. It's the torque rating.
Yeah. And that's still just, it's like one of those
11,500.
How do you have axles? How do you have anything that can handle that? Like full blown, like donut doing drag racing diesel trucks don't have 11,000 foot-pounds of torque.
So
Brandon.
The baddest truck right now is, I think it's 1,050 pound-feet of torque. I don't know. It's either the Cummins or the Power Stroke.
Right.
And this is literally 10 times that. 11,500 pound-feet of torque.
It's so crazy.
Like what? There's no. You're not limited by towing, except for your suspension and chassis.
It says GM estimates, but yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll come out different. I mean, I would imagine it has to come out. That's an insane number.
Yeah, that's. I don't know, man. That's 11,000. That's. Yeah, you'd be limited only by tires as to what you could pull.
Well, it's suspension. Hopefully it's got some good brakes on it.
Yeah, well, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
And it's got to weigh like 7,000 pounds. It's got to.
Easily.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's an 8-lug design, so it's at least a 3/4 ton rating. So, and plus it's got 4 motors on it. On the top tier package, and who knows how much those batteries weigh. Yeah, it's got to be heavy as hell. Just the little Teslas are heavy, the cars. Yeah, these things got to be crazy.
35-inch tires.
Mm-hmm.
Underbody cameras, like it's insane, man. It's going to be. I mean,
it's going to be everything a Hummer is supposed to be. Like all the tech on it. I mean, realistically, back in the 90s, you know, the Hummer had everything. It was just everything you can think of at the time this had. And
central tire deflator.
Yeah. And why wouldn't the new ones have everything a modern vehicle should have? And plus some more, like 11,500 pound-feet of torque. And
a Bose stereo system. The old ones.
Are they still using Bose?
I've ridden in like for real H1 Hummers, and you can you got to scream at the driver when you're sitting in the passenger seat. It's just rough.
Oh yeah, they're loud. Never been in one. I wish I had. It's like my dream vehicle. I have an H1 with a Cummins swap. I could have any vehicle. That's what it'd be.
I think the popular thing to do with them, at least, is the Duramax, because they're Chevy diesel powered to begin with.
Well, they came with those. Yeah, they came with the Duramax in their later in a
Duramax.
No. That was before they carried the Duramax name. It was just whatever Chevy's 6.5 diesel,
and those things were
actually that was a turbo one too. Then before that, the military days, they were like this. I think it's a 6.2. That was NA. And
that's the one I rode that had the retrofit turbo kit put on it, and it did was just generate heat. Like we'd be pulling out, and they'd floor it, and you just feel like this incredible wave of heat come through the cabin, and just no acceleration. It was just all
on top of that, they only had like a 3-speed, so like you run out of RPM anyways in a diesel when you don't have an overdrive.
Right. Yeah. Well, they did great off-road, which is, I guess, what they were meant for, not so much highway driving.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But this is a 350 mile range, which is pretty impressive. I'm just surprised for something that's like built. I guess it's not built as an overlander, but I would think, especially for an off-roader, you'd want a hybrid for the range and then like the crawling torque of the electric. Not so much like if you're mud running, I'm not sure, because you kind of want wheel speed for that. So I'm not sure.
Well, I feel like you just get everything out of the electric. Like you're going to get your wheel speed with electric. You just floor it, and then you're going to get that instant low end torque where you don't even need a low range realistically. Maybe they're going to have one. I don't know, but it seems like it's more like an electronic setting for low range rather than a physical gear change into low range.
Yeah, it probably just changes the sensitivity of the throttle, makes it feel. That's another cool thing is all the variability of that stuff is a big part of off-roading that most people can't get is the pedal feel, is how to ease over things without breaking loose. And that's, people break loose and then they want to floor it when that's the last thing they should do. Well, this thing might take some of that away from you.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got all the fancy traction controls and, intelligence system. You tell it go into rock mode so it knows kind of what to do. You just press the pedal and it figures it out on its own. That's how a lot of this new technology is. That's how that Jeep was we just sold, and it had all those different settings, and you just put it in that mode and kind of just press the pedal and it figures it out. Even this new Explorer, it's 4-wheel drive, doesn't have a low range, but it's still got mud and sand and snow
Does
settings.
It have an actual 4-wheel drive, or is it all-wheel drive?
I was trying to figure that out. So it's an auto setting, I believe. It's all-wheel drive, but it may engage like 2-wheel drives, like for highway speeds, possibly, but I'm not 100% sure. I know that's what the Jeep did, because you put in auto. It was basically when it needed it, it just went into 4. And this one, it seems like it's pretty much always there because it's surprisingly bad on fuel economy for being a kind of a mid-size SUV. We average about 18, so I figured that's probably one of the factors.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if you go back to Colorado next year to see how the Explorer does versus the Jeep.
Yeah, we might get there a little faster, but I think it's definitely not going to be the Explorer. It's not going to be as good as exploring as the Jeep was, but I think it's still going to do everything we want it to do. We're not running the rock crawling or anything like that. Just going off the trail and plowing through some snow and just having a good time and trying not to get in too much trouble, because normally we're out there by ourselves without like any sort of rescue equipment. So we can't get too crazy.
And highway tires.
Yeah. We don't have mud trains on there. It is my wife's car. It's not I have mud tires on my truck.
Oh yeah. So have you seen anything about pricing on the Hummer?
I did. Yeah. I can't remember what it was. It was definitely really expensive.
Yeah, I'm guessing 6 figures probably.
Oh yeah, like starting.
Here we go.
Actually, 6 figures.
No, so
for the top tiered one,
available spring 2024. So there's the tiers look like EV2, EV2X, and EV3X, and they are 80,000, 90,000, and 100,000.
Yeah, I would have lost that bet. Yeah, I'm sure that's
the base one only has 7,400 foot-pounds of torque. Ew.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's horrible. Wow. I mean, to be all things considered, 80 grand for a vehicle like that is not too bad. Jeep's coming out with a new Jeep Grand Wagoneer, which my wife and I are real excited about, but it's I think the starting price for the basic one, which nothing basic about it, but it's still the base model, and it's 80,000, I think.
You should get her an old one that's like perfectly restored, like the OG one with the wood panels, the Grand Wagoneer. Get her one of those.
Yeah, have you met my wife? She didn't do that.
No, you just gotta get all the bougie interior stuff.
I tried showing her a cloth seat Explorer, and she's like, no. So we have air conditioned seats now.
Good for you, buddy. Way to stand your ground.
I know, I mean, I was sold that twin turbo, so
Yeah, that's true. That's a compromise, right?
yeah.
Like, babe, I need to take your car to the track night.
Yeah. I don't know how good it'd do out there, but at least I'd be comfortable doing it.
Yeah. I imagine if you did a tune that had some kind of, I'm not sure how the two-step or if it has any kind of launch control, but I imagine if you got a tune that had something like that, it can't do bad.
Yeah.
I wonder what it stalls at. Is it a dual clutch or a regular converter?
It's regular transmission, but surprisingly it doesn't 60 foot great. Maybe I just haven't figured it out.
That's warranty stuff. A lot of times it won't let you give it the full beans right out of the gate.
I think it needs a different thing. It needs a tune to be able to 60 foot better. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not like, I can't really chirp the tires, but like once it like kind of gathers itself together, I mean, it just really takes off.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the pleasure of racing a couple little teenagers one night in their little Hyundai Turbo. What's that little Veloster or something like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He was just messing with me, and I was like, whatever. I got family in the car. I'm not messing with you. He kept messing with me. I gave it to him, and he got smoked.
Gave him the business.
I felt so stupid racing a Hyundai, but yeah, I mean, it beat a car. So, I mean, it's an SUV.
Good, though. That's awesome. Oh, that's great, man. Yeah. It's what's the fun of having something with turbos if you can, lay into the boots a little bit every now and then.
Yeah, you gotta have a little bit of fun to it. Plus, it's good for it, from what I hear.
Yeah, that's the other way to keep the intake valves cleaned off.
The German tune-up.
Yeah. Hey, I did full throttle.
Yeah, once a day.
The red line tune-up. Yeah. Good times.
What else we got in the news here?
Tesla did another big leap forward when their 1,000 horsepower Plaid Plus Model S that's going to have a 520 mile range. And it's just another giant leap forward from Tesla. Zero to 60 in 1.99 seconds.
That's what happens.
Production car record.
That's what happens when you move your company to Texas, Austin, Texas.
Hell yeah.
You start really doing some good stuff. Yeah.
You shave a few tenths off immediately.
Yeah.
Noted. Yeah, at 140,000. I mean, still, even at 140,000, that is dirt cheap to go 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. What's in that price range? A book like a ZR1 before dealerships fucking tack on their taxes. That's like $140, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I love the ZR1, but you're not getting anywhere near 1.99 seconds.
Yeah. 390 mile range, 2 seconds, 0 to 60, 200 miles per hour. And that's probably limited. It's got to be maybe by either. I mean, they look pretty aero, they don't have any sort of radiator, so they don't have to have all that pass through air.
That's true.
And, these wheels aren't super open. So they're kind of aero. It just looks like it's already pre-set up for the salt flats almost, but still daily driver looking.
Yeah. Not having to have a lot of the cooling stuff is so key.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. I have the ZR1 pulled up, and it is in the same price range, but I don't know why.
No way it's going to touch it. There was the 100D, which I believe is the top tier right now for Tesla.
3.0, by the way, a full second slower
on the ZR1.
Yeah. 3 flat, which is insane. That's so fast.
That's so fast.
That would set your heart back, but it's a full second slower. Sorry.
Is the ZR1 still 2-wheel drive?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know. I've heard Corvettes for so many years talk about or the development team has always kicked around the idea of going all-wheel drive. And they kicked around for many years before that, going mid-engine. They finally did that.
Well, they're set up better for it now, in my opinion, like logistically to go all-wheel drive. Because then, mean, the way the Corvette was with the engine so low, like there's nowhere to put a diff without raising it.
Yeah, I think that's the only way they're ever going to really compete with this electric stuff without going electric is you got to throw in all-wheel drive, because with all the power this thing's got, you can't hold it with two wheels.
Not without putting like some drag radials on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a street vehicle.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's good problems to have. I mean, if you would have told me when we were in the Navy, when we were hearing about all the gloom and doom of the EPA stuff, that like in a few years, there'd be some crazy horsepower war like this and we'd be having all these options, I wouldn't have believed you. Well, I would have believed you, but anybody else, I would have told them to fuck off.
It's almost, I guess it kind of is a horsepower war, but like really Tesla is the only one really in it right now. And it's more so just like an electric, like overcoming the market. And then just the technology is getting developed and these batteries are getting developed to where they're just, it almost seems like it's easier and easier for them to just make more and more ridiculous power.
Yeah. The limiting factor is the batteries, right? Because the more efficiently and densely you can pack the energy, the more rapidly you can release it, and the better everything gets, right? So, I mean, is the more densely they can get these batteries and get rid of like, excuse me, some of the, like the rare earth elements and stuff required to make them. That's another kind of like price limiting factor. It's exciting, man. The hybrid stuff is, I keep saying that, but they keep bringing out more full electric stuff. So maybe I don't, the industry isn't listening to me, and I feel like that's a mistake, Brandon. I know what I'm talking about. I've spent many hours very high thinking about this, and I've come to the conclusion we just need to go hybrids for a little bit. Just know we can't go full electric.
I think you're just holding on to an ancient technology, which is internal combustion. As much as we all love it and we've grown up with it, the fact of the matter is it's a dying industry.
Yeah, it sucks, man. What gave me hope was the big three, right? The LaFerrari, the Porsche 918, and my personal favorite car of all time, the McLaren P1. I really thought that technology would trickle down, but since they've come out, I mean, has there been any more hybrid anything sport car related?
Man. I mean, there's plenty of hybrids out there. I don't know about like real high-end sports stuff.
Not performance-wise though. Like
I know that there's a new. I was watching at Top Gear America. They had I think the new Porsche SUV might be hybrid.
Macan? No, I think that's fully electric.
I'm not going to try to say it. No, this one definitely had an engine. It sounded. You could hear it. They talked about it.
Porsche Cayenne E hybrid.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. They've had the Cayenne out for a while, but now they're having a hybrid version. 450 mile total range, 13 mile battery only. But the battery, well, I mean, the battery only isn't, it's a performance vehicle. Like if they put out a Prius, like max range and they called it like a Porsche still, people would lose their minds.
Yeah,
plus,
maybe
like the battery only, that's really just to get you rolling. That's where you lose the majority of your mileage and whatnot, trying to get all the mass moving.
Right. Yeah. It just kind of sucks it down a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I'm still not seeing any charging stations around. We have one that I know of close by at just a big shopping center. It's Tesla charging place. But otherwise, I feel like if you really want to drive an electric vehicle, you have to have your own charging station at home, like around here anyways. Maybe California's, I'm sure, a lot different.
Right. Yeah, I just Googled Tesla supercharger in DFW, and it looks like there's only one.
Really? There's got to be more, because one of them's in Denton. Denton's not really much of a town. It's kind of a suburb. That's weird. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Hopefully, well, I don't know. I say hopefully the infrastructure takes off, but once that happens, then it's really all over. Yeah, I mean, even with like fuel prices kind of really going up, I don't know if they're like where you're at, but here they're about between $2.45 and $2.60 a gallon.
It's closer to, well, it's over $3 a lot of places here. Like you can still get it under $3 at Costco, but it's like $3.20. It's been going up pretty steady for a couple months now.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's really going to really stop. It's just more incentive now to drive an electric vehicle. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't mind having one these days with our road trips and all that stuff. But then I get worried on road trips. Like, where am I going to charge this thing at? And I got to pull over for 30 minutes to charge it.
The range anxiety is real. And then you hear about, like, I'm sure it's not super common, but when during big travel weekends on popular routes, these supercharger stations get overrun. And you got 20, 30 cars there, and then you're really screwed because it's 30 minutes a pop. People having to sit there all night trying to get a charge.
Yeah. I watched a video on that. These guys are pulling into a Tesla station, charging. I think it was kind of in the middle of nowhere. It just happened to be a charging station on a long road, I guess. And there was just dozens, maybe hundreds of Teslas just all lined up waiting to charge. And
wow.
I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you just die? Are you just going to push it in there? Just trying to, if it's hot, you're trying to stay cool. You got the thing running.
Oh man, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
Hybrid.
I mean,
that's why we need hybrids. Doesn't happen.
Yeah. See, a hybrid would kind of make sense there, I guess. But I don't know. But a lot of those you have to plug in. Like we had
you can plug them in. You don't have to.
I had a friend that had one of the early Chevy hybrid. I think it's the Volt. And
that's a full electric though.
Okay. Well, this one was a full electric, whatever the other one is. It's has a little force. Yeah. I think that's what it was. So it had a little 4-cylinder, had this little electric engine. So we took it on a road trip, and, you get, I think 50 or so miles down the road, and it just switches over to that. And then you can't charge it the rest of the time because it's a plug-in. And it has its like ability to like self-charge itself a little bit through like the braking system and little, I guess, other little things here and there. But like that was just like to help extend the battery life. But then to really charge it, you have to actually plug the car in. Really? I always thought they charged off the gasoline engine until... Yeah, I mean, I think there are some stuff like that. That's just how this one was, because on this entire road trip, we didn't have electric. We just ran off gasoline. Wow. And once we ran out after the initial charge. Wow. Interesting. But I mean, that was years ago. So I'm sure things have improved since then. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what else? Oh, I saw a lot of people in Texas were using the F-150 hybrid feature to keep their houses online during the big freeze. Actually, I didn't hear that. It's pretty funny. Yeah, the two, because it's got the 220 outlet in the bed. They had the house wired up to it. I'm sorry, I did actually hear that. Yeah, I did hear that. That's a pretty cool feature, having 220 on your truck. It's pretty dope. Yeah, something like that for overlanding, like it sounds amazing. It's like the perfect, like what more could you ask for? Yeah, I mean, it's almost like glamping. It's like almost going in a camper. We have our 220 plug-in and our AC and all that stuff. Oh yeah. Speaking of, you're talking about hybrids. Ram's really getting into that. They have their 5.7 Hemi, and it has the e-torque. So it's an e-torque option.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it'll kick in that electric engine. Like, I think it's mostly just to get you going and really for pulling heavy loads as well. But just like you said, you use most of your power getting going, and that applies also to gasoline vehicles. So it just puts that extra little juice in there electrically to get you going. And then I think it shuts off. So it just really improves fuel economy. So things like that, I think they're pretty cool, especially for towing. That's a big part of my life. So I like to have little helps for towing.
That's Dodge's first venture into the hybrid realm, isn't it? I'm not thinking of anything else Dodge.
I think so. Yeah. I don't
definitely no fully electrics, right?
Yeah. The Brotherhood of Muscles, probably going to be behind on the electric part.
But you know what they did come out with, Brandon? A 702 horsepower pickup truck called the TRX.
Oh man, I would love to have a TRX, man. It took all the best parts of the Raptor and just like gave us what everybody wants. A big, fat, supercharged V8. I have nothing against EcoBoost. We have one. They're great. But a supercharged V8 is just...
Can't compete with it.
It's what you got to have, man, in a sports truck.
Now, I think if you were to do like an off-road race, the Raptor would still win, because from what I can see, it's still the more off-road oriented, like purist truck. But very few people give a shit to do 70 through the dunes. They want to sit and do big, fat, gnarly burnouts in their driveway and listen to that supercharger.
I hate being this guy, but I'm going to do it.
Be that guy.
Okay. So I watched a drag race the other day in person. I was just out driving around where I work. It was a Tahoe and a Raptor. I guess this Tahoe was souped over something because he lost, but not by a lot. And the Raptor just sounded like total crap. And the Tahoe sounded great. And even though it lost a lot more gracefully because it didn't sound like a rice burn. And then I have a neighbor. He's got this F-150. It's this pretty sweet truck, but it's EcoBoost, and I love the EcoBoost again. But he straight piped it, and he's got this tune on it. And every single morning, I just want to run over there and pop his tires or something. It sounds horrible. I can't even explain it. It doesn't sound like a turbo vehicle. It sounds like a straight piped, like 4-cylinder or something. Even when you get into boost, they still sound bad. I don't get it. There's so many V6 supercharged, turbocharged engines I've heard that sound great. Even 4-cylinder turbocharged engines, they actually sound pretty good. The EcoBoost sounds terrible. And I think a lot of people are having trouble getting past that. Especially if you're into modifying it in that sense. And I think that's probably one of the big reasons why Ford is talking about this 6.8.
I hope so, man.
Which I think is supposed to be an answer to the TRX.
Yeah, which is in the Raptor R, which has been announced that it's happening, but that's about it. From what I understand, there's been no more news.
I'm excited about these wars. They're pretty cool. I mean,
capitalism, baby, America.
Yeah, well, I'm a truck guy. I love it. Any sort of truck. I don't care if it's lowered. I don't care if it's lifted. I don't care if it's a race truck or a rock crawler. It doesn't matter. I love them all. And this is cool because we got two extremely capable trucks. I mean, these trucks they're real trucks still. I mean, there might be race trucks, but I see Raptors around here in Texas all the time at job sites towing 10,000 pounds. I mean, they're sagging in the back, but they're doing it. People are actually using these. I've even seen like racks on them with ladders on top heading to the job site, ready to work. So people are really using these trucks like they're real trucks, not just mall crawlers and whatever off-road vehicles.
Yeah, we see that using them every day. That's mostly what I see out here is the parking lot princess.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of those, but like I'm actually seeing people use the Raptor as a truck on a day-to-day basis. Awesome. You know, I mean, especially this part of Texas is growing so much, so there's just a lot of construction going on. And if you got the money, I mean, obviously you want a really cool truck, and why not buy a Raptor? You still got to use your truck though, right? So this is what they're doing. And, but just the fact that it's still got tons of power, it's still capable of pulling your camper. It can drag race, it can off road, it can overland, it can do it all. It's really cool. I really like it. Now the TRX in the game, turning it up a little bit, making it more fun. I am excited to see what Elon Musk does when he gets his foot in the game. His truck looks weird as hell, but it's going to be a contender, man.
Yeah. Back to what you're saying about the Raptor, like if you're, at least for my money, if I'm spending $70,000 on a truck and I want to go put a bunch more money into modifying it, like after hearing what that engine sounds like, putting a big exhaust on it, man, Hennessy does a thing. Well, they'll throw a Coyote in it and a Whipple, and that's pretty awesome. But I don't know. It's not even like it's like, I mean, it's not great, but it's not horrible. No, it's horrible. It's so bad.
Oh, really? Wait, on the
EcoBoost. No, on the EcoBoost.
Yeah, it's still bad.
It sounds like the old F-body Camaro V6s.
I really wish I knew. I guess I'm not really inclined enough to really understand why they sound so bad. Because you look at that little 3.5 in the Nissan 350Z. It's a little NA engine, and unless you're just flat out straight piped, I mean, they sound pretty decent. I've never sound one that's just like. It's not like a fart cannon that you put on a four cylinder. They're good sound. And so you figure you put a couple of turbos on something similar, it sound good. And this just doesn't.
I bet that Camaro I rented when I came out and visited, I bet that would have sounded gnarly with a good exhaust and some turbos. That V6. I mean,
even my wife's little 3.2 in her Jeep Cherokee, it had a factory dual exhaust on it. It had a little growl to it, and it wasn't a terrible sound. And when you had 6,000 RPM, it sounded kind of good actually.
Right. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but hopefully they've already got the 7.3, which seems to be taking off pretty well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's so much hype on it still. Like, even though like it's only 425 horsepower, it's only like 475 pound-feet of torque, something like that.
Something like that.
I mean, don't get me wrong; those are decent numbers for an NA V8 that's made for towing, for going 300,000 miles on an original engine. Those are really great numbers and something we haven't seen before. But people are really getting a lot of power out of it. Just naturally aspirated, and they're getting even more.
It's like LS power, turbo. Man. Putting turbos on it with like stock internals, getting 4 numbers pretty easily. Yeah,
I mean, the engines are built somewhat similar, with just being a cam and block. So it seems like Ford, for the most part, is getting away from their overhead V8s and going to a cam and block engine to, I think, just meeting the customer demands, because the biggest limiting factor on the 5.0 was the fact that it's a 5.0.
Right.
And normally that engine really can't be bored and stroked much. You have your 5.0, and there might be a little bit of leeway there, but not much. You're always going to be limited by displacement, and so it's
and they're so impossible. Massive, that dual overhead cam. I mean, to look at one, there's 6 feet across, man.
Yeah. And so you're looking at the 6.2 in the Camaro, it's competition, and the 6.4 in the Challenger also is competition. The engine is smaller, probably probably a little lighter in weight as well. And it's got more displacement and more capability. We've already covered that. There's no replacement for displacement. I don't care what you say, except for maybe an electric engine. Right.
But that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Also, the 6.8 liter, which has been teased but not confirmed, or has it been confirmed? which is going to be a variant of the 7.3.
Well, I think it's both been teased and confirmed. So from what I've seen on it, I mean, nobody's come out and said, here it is, here's the specs on it or anything like that. But more or less, there was a press conference, I guess, from Ford, and basically saying we are releasing, or there is a 6.8 liter. It is going to be built in the Windsor plant, which is where the 7.3 is made. So that just makes me assume, I guess, more or less, that it's going to be a relative of the 7.3. Right. So it just makes sense. So it'll probably be built off of the same thing, and probably an aluminum variant of the 7.3s. The 7.3 is an iron block. Actually, don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it's an iron block, being that it's in a 3/4 ton truck. This will probably be an aluminum variant of it, making good numbers. But if it does end up in like something like the Raptor, maybe it'll have a supercharger in it, or maybe it'll have an option for a supercharger. Maybe it'll be an NA and a forced induction.
Iron block.
Yeah, I just assumed on that just because it's in a working truck.
Yeah. Aluminum heads.
Yeah, definitely got aluminum heads. I think just about everything has aluminum heads now. But yeah, I think that's my guess, and based off of the little bit of information we have, is that it'll probably be a cam and block, aluminum engine, and it'll be a performance type engine. It'll be like it could just flat out replace the 5.0. So we may not even see the 5.0 in the future. But I mean, that's a long jump though, from 5 liters to 6.8 liters, 1.8 liter jump.
Yeah. Cause that 7 liters, that's big block. I mean, not big block, but that's big Corvette engine territory then.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. Who knows? Time will tell. But right now, we just get to speculate on it, and I have big hopes for it. I think it's going to be something pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The best thing we can hope is it'll get more widespread, so that we can have LS-esque type availability, which leads to cheap horsepower, which we're all a fan of.
Oh yeah, I love cheap power for sure.
I was doing a little YouTubing, and I found this guy. I always knew that LSs were cheap. I didn't know that for a 5.3, it's like less than $500.
Oh yeah, they're all around here. These just
it's insane.
What was it? I guess 1999 is the first year you could get them, like in a Silverado or Sierra. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of these cars are just, they're just getting scrapped at some point, or they've been wrecked or whatever, flood damage, anything, whatever's happened to the car in order for it to just really not have much worth anymore. So they get parted out. And so, yeah, you go to these local junkyards around here where I'm at, and they're all over the place. Yeah, you just take your pick. You go find one that's got all the pieces and looks like it's not in too terrible condition. You can give them $400 or $500 for it and walk out with a full wiring harness, complete engine, turnkey, ready to go.
Unbelievable! Yeah. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, you got to think about it though. I think that's. What's that, like a 285 horse engine? If you get the 5.3, it's even less on the 4.8. So you still got to dump some stuff into it. You got to do cam swaps and whatnot to get real power out of it. And even then, it's not really competitive to most everything else. So you really got to put a lot of work into them to get some power. It's not like, I think there's so many people out there. It's like, I just got to get an LS in this and now I have all this power. I mean, it still takes some money to get some power out of it.
Standalone ECU, probably some kind of power adder, nitrous or blower, turbos.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think what makes them so great is that they're capable of handling forced induction. They respond pretty much well
to modification.
And even then, if you just everything factory, reworking the rings and land seal just to it'll hold a lot of power. They're pretty impressive, but it still does take a pretty decent amount of money to get them there. It's just, I think they're impressive just being that it's pretty much a stock engine handling that kind of power.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at a Coyote engine, first off, you're not going to get one for less than a couple grand. And then you're still going to have to put another couple grand to hit 4 numbers.
Whereas the oldest Coyote right now is 10 years old. 2011.
Wow.
So it's got,
I guess they're not nearly as bountiful, but still, I mean, I guess the thing that makes it so appealing is, you're going to have to put a couple grand into it. But the difference is you don't have to spend a couple grand to start with to get the engine. You know what I mean? Like, you pretty much start for free. I mean, $500 isn't nothing, but it's not like a prohibitive barrier to entry. So
it's definitely a really great place to start off.
But I'm contradicting myself. I've been doing a little bit of research, and it's some stuff's more expensive than I thought. And then some stuff is like not nearly as like computers and wiring stuff, crazy expensive. I watch all these YouTubers and like Roadkill, and they're just throwing all this Holley shit everywhere. Like, I just throw all this Holley Dob and just da-da-da. Oh yeah, no big deal. Yeah, no, it's like $2,500 for this, $1,500 for that.
Well, I mean, these guys have been doing this for 20-some years, and like they don't sell anything. Freiberger was on Instagram the other day. He was selling a wheel and tire package, like just flat out just listing it on Instagram. He said, inbox me, I'll give you my number, call me and come pick them up. And he's this wheel and tire package, no shit, 25 years old, just sitting in his garage. He's like, I'm just trying to clean it up, get it out of here. So they just have this plentiful of just parts and everything they need. They literally just pull it in there and do it. I mean, on top of that, I mean, obviously they have money, so they can just afford to do this stuff. But when they've been in it so long, they have like they could probably do all their modifications and anything they want to do without spending a dime, because they have so much stuff laying around to do it.
Finnegan is on a real burner. Have you seen his C10 build?
No, I haven't really been keeping up with him too much.
His square body C10 with a LT4 and a sequential transmission. Full frame off, mandrel built tube frame, like insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. I've been keeping up with the Top Gear America with the new guys in there.
They've been pumping out quite a bit of content.
Yeah, Dax Shepard. I'm pretty impressed with it. It's pretty cool. I've always liked Dax Shepard because he's just an actor I like watching, but he's like a real true car guy. He's not just play one. He has all these vehicles. Like, he brings some of his personal vehicles on there. Like, he's got some old station wagon with an LSX supercharged engine in it, and just stuff that he actually drives and cool. Like, you follow him also on Instagram. Like, he likes real stuff. He has like an old 1990 454 SS pickup truck that, he just likes to drive just because it's cool. I mean, there's definitely a lot of newer, cooler stuff he could buy and afford, but that's something old and cool that he likes, and that's what he drives. He has a lot of really old, cool stuff like that.
Yeah, he's definitely a real one. I think I haven't got back into it yet. They got to stop calling it Top Gear. I think that's what it is. Stop calling it Top Gear. There's only one Top Gear. It's Richard Hammond and May. Stop. Nothing else will ever be Top Gear. Stop it. You're just dooming it. You're dooming it from the start. Call it like whatever BBC car review show, like Motor Trend this week, and like stop calling it Top Gear.
It was too successful for it to not come back.
The thing that was successful is those 3 guys, though. Like, the format's generic. 3 guys talking about cars. Like, listen to us. We're assholes and we're doing it. Like, the thing that made it was their chemistry. So, like, you got to stop trying to call it that thing, because what everyone associates with that thing is their chemistry, to me at least.
What was the main character's name? Like Jeremy or something?
Yeah, Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, James May.
I mean, honestly, I only liked Clarkson. The other guy was just old, boring, and the little guy.
Hammond, he's the American. He loves all the American stuff. He's he owns Mach 1s and stuff.
He like portrayed an idiot though.
Yeah, like when they went, I forget where they went in the Grand Tour, but he got like a lifted 3/4 ton Chevy.
Yeah, I love that episode.
That was such a good episode.
Yeah. That was probably one of the best episodes, I think. With
the big old like triple shocks on each axle.
Yeah, I mean, like
that had a 454 in it, I think, didn't it?
Yeah, but that was
I'm sure it did.
It made like 240 horsepower or something. 230,
got like
I don't know.
2 miles a gallon.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. I mean, the truck was actually pretty cool, but yeah, the setup was terrible.
Less than efficient.
Especially when they're up at like 14,000 feet on that mountain and just didn't get enough air to do anything.
Yeah. And the fact that it had a 14-inch lift on it and it was pushing a freaking sail.
Yeah. That was a good episode. I'd like to rewatch that, but no, man, I think you need to check it out though. Get past, don't say the name before you watch it. Just go watch Dax Shepard do his thing.
Cover it up and then I'll just turn it on.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yeah. What else we got going on? I'm sure I send you stuff all the time and we have these in-depth text. Oh, yeah. So here's a conversation we had that might be interesting. 4 liter to 4 liter, 6 holes versus 8 holes.
Yeah.
We agree, and the evidence would support that 8 holes makes more power up high, and 6 holes makes more power down low. But I mean, why does it do that? And then you have the GTRs that just go and throw all that out the window and make 3,000 horsepower.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all changes when you go forced induction, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you just left it naturally aspirated, both being 4 liter, 1 to 6, 1 to 8. I just feel like being that to accomplish the displacement, the 6-cylinder is going to have a longer stroke and a larger bore, which, just historically looking at a lot of the engines, that normally results in like just really good low end torque. But also with longer strokes, they typically don't perform quite as well, or maybe it's harder to make them perform well at higher RPMs just because it's a longer stroke.
Do you think that's the friction? Like over,
and
what I mean?
Also being a larger bore. Yeah, there's just a lot more friction involved there. And then just more travel time. It's just, I don't know. I think there's a lot that goes into it. And so I think that the V8 probably would, performance wise, just probably have a lot of advantages, but I think down low, I feel like the V6 probably would be a little bit better with your stoner question.
Yeah, because I was thinking what made me think about it was the Grand Tour thing, actually, when they did the buggies and Clarkson had like that 4 liter Land Rover V8 in his.
Yeah.
And then I forget what else I was looking at that had like a 4 liter 6-cylinder. I was like, what's the difference? Like, I understand small, like you're not going to make a 2 point something or a 3 point something liter V8. Although Ferrari they make 3.8 liter V8s. So, I mean,
I like those little V8s.
I guess in most cases you don't make like super small V8s. You usually make small 6 cylinders and even smaller 4 cylinders.
Yeah.
Complexity, I guess, too.
Yeah. I think just like anything else, when you put forced induction in the game, it's just going to change everything else because the 3.5 EcoBoost twin turbo has, I think, 90% of its torque available at 1,500 RPM.
That is insane.
It carries it. It's just a flat torque curve all the way across the dyno graph.
Yeah.
And the RPM range, it just stays pretty consistent. It does peak somewhere, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000 range or something like that for torque. And it's just excellent. I mean, if you're in a half-ton truck and you're needing to tow, I mean, it's really hard to justify anything else other than the 3.5 EcoBoost. I mean, all the V8s sound great and everything, but when you put them on paper and you actually tow with them, the old 6-cylinder gets it done.
Yeah, down low for sure. That's insane at 1,500 RPMs. That's like an idle.
Yeah, and they're just right off idle. Just the turbos they're very limited. You can't get a whole lot more out of them. You can get more out of them, but they're very, very small turbos, so it doesn't take hardly anything to really spool them up. So they can spool really quickly, which is a benefit of twin turbos. You know, being able to spool pretty quick versus a really large one. But then having two really small ones limits you higher up, but helps you a lot down low. And that's what this engine's made for, is working.
I'd be interested to find out how the torque curves are, because the Ford GT has the 3.5 liter EcoBoost. So I wonder, like, obviously I'm sure everything is different about it. Cams, head, turbos, everything. But
see, it's funny you say that. It's actually funny you even asked that. I'm pretty sure that was covered on Top Gear. And you being the Top Gear guy, you watch, I'm pretty sure you've seen all of them, but they actually covered something. I'm pretty sure it's Top Gear, but they covered it. They said 90% of the parts carry over from the Ford GT to the F-150, the engine
that is
parts.
Insane.
Yeah, so it's very few things. Obviously, the turbos are different. There's probably different camshafts. There could be a different like intake manifold, but like it sounds like just from my reading. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm no Ford technician or anything, but everything just carries over for the most part. 90% of it, I suppose.
Dang.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that either. I would have said, okay, well, this is just some fully forged, everything is like race ready, but I guess that's just the way they make them. I mean, even the F-150 EcoBoost is an all aluminum engine. If you have the 3.5, I think the 2.7's an iron block. They just made that for the more entry level, a little bit cheaper, but the 3.5 is an all aluminum engine on, I think, every model you can get it in. The F-150, the Explorer, the Ford Taurus SHO, whatever else it comes in.
Oh, speaking of the Taurus, that was little thought I had this week of getting a Taurus cop car, because those had the SHO powertrain with the twin turbo 3.5 and the all-wheel drive. But the thought of doing like drag racing type stuff in it, because that's what I want to do with my next car, is make like a drag week type car. And the thought of like driving around listening to that V6 drone or making drag passes, like it's just like, ugh.
Well, I mean, just keep a muffler on it. You know, I think they don't sound rancid. Like the Raptor, it's not a great sound, but it's not terrible to listen to either. It's just like, I'd rather hear something else.
I don't know. I'm full blown V8 right now, man. I've got the rest of these days, like the rest of time, to go electric and small displacement, big turbo. Like I got to try and live in the days of V8s while they're still here.
Yeah. And I think everybody that's a car guy needs to do that. I mean, even if it's the EcoBoost or something, I think you need to just really milk these days, because they are numbered.
Yeah.
But no, back to that SHO thing. I don't really know much about the cop car variant of it, or what performance packages is in it. But I do know that I really like the SHO.
It was so like, it just came and went and no one said shit about it. And I don't know why. Like it was so badass at the time. Like nobody else was doing anything like that. Like the twin turbo V6 all-wheel drive.
My theory is that I actually didn't know it was all-wheel drive. My theory is the Chevy SS just really outshined it, because it is basically a Holden, and everything about it was excellent. I mean,
I agree that the SS is more badass, but you don't even see those. I've seen maybe a dozen.
Well, yeah, they were a limited production run. They did the same thing. They came and gone. I think, don't quote me on this either, but I'm pretty sure Chevy actually had those made for NASCAR because they had to, you have to make a limited production of so many vehicles. Have a qualifier for NASCAR or something like that. I don't know how it works, but
they said when it came out, it was the first real world drive sedan that GM had put out in like a long time.
Yeah,
or that Chevy had put out.
Or something.
Yeah, Cadillacs were still they were, and then they weren't. Anyway, back to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, Chevrolet, anyways. Yeah. Then also you got to think about and these aren't all-wheel drive. Like you just said, I didn't even know that the SHO was all-wheel drive, but the Charger. One you can get the SRT, and it's 485 horsepower. Even if it's just a scat pack, they're not that expensive. 485 horse, and then you obviously have the Hellcat. You're getting over 700. So
I don't think they offer all-wheel drive on any of the V8 models.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like you said, if that's all-wheel drive, then that really is a game changer. That's really cool.
I'm verifying that right now. I'm pretty sure that it was
Challenger. Yeah. I know Challenger does. I'm pretty sure Charger does. It's like the Challenger GT. It comes with a V6, but it does have the all-wheel drive. Every time I look at one, I want to like it so much, but it doesn't have the right engine, and I'm just like, why can't you just put the Hemi in the all-wheel drive, and it would just
they don't want that smoke. They don't want to deal with that differential drama.
Oh, I know it won't hold that power, and it's not rated for that, but I mean they could make it hold that kind of power, and I just think it'd be great. I mean, with how much power everything makes these days, you need all-wheel drive. I mean, hooking up to anything, just
something I meant to ask about your Explorer. When you get on it, is there any kind of like pull, like torquey steer weirdness?
Yeah, for sure. It again, let's not think supercar status or anything like that, but for a mom car and kid hauler, I mean, this thing, it does. Yeah, it really kind of gets a little squirrely when it digs downshifts, and I don't know. I guess the front tires kind of want to break loose, but then it won't get too squirrely because the rear wheels are still driving it also.
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird feeling. It's something I'm not really used to, so it's kind of hard to explain. I've never had a powerful vehicle in an SUV size all-wheel drive. The only other all-wheel drive vehicle I've ever had was the Evo, and it's totally different ball games. I think it was super lightweight.
And 3 inches off the ground.
Yeah. But nah, man, I really like it. It definitely has all that low end torque. It doesn't have as much torque as the F-150. At the time, F-150s were 420 pound-feet of torque. So this one, I don't know how it was dumbed down to 350 pound-feet of torque. So it's 70 less pound-feet of torque, but it's rated at the same horsepower. I don't get it. I don't know if that's just a rating they put out or if there's actually a difference, just a tuning difference. Who knows? But it definitely feels really torquey down low, but it pulls really well all the way up high too. It's fun to drive for a mom car for sure.
Right on. Yeah, the Taurus SHO was all-wheel drive from 2010, and I didn't know they made them for this long, to 2019.
Okay, what engine did the 2010 have though? Because the EcoBoost wasn't supposed to debut till 2011. At least for the F-150.
Yeah, it says resurrected the sedan with all-wheel drive and largely derived from its D3 platform, whatever that means. It featured a 3.5 liter direct injected twin turbo EcoBoost V6, producing 365 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 350 torques, also at 1,500 RPM.
Yeah, so maybe that was the first vehicle those came in.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Because the F-150 didn't get it until 2011. That's kind of where it made its name, in the F-150.
Yeah, I remember those when we were in the Navy. They just were just coming out.
My dad called me. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking for a new truck. What should I get?" I said, "Man, these F-150s, just came out like a year or two ago with a twin turbo V6, and they're really awesome." And he's like, "I'm gonna go get one." So he went and got one, and he owned like 3 more after that. They've been so
Dang.
great. Yeah.
Is he not bummed out by the sound, or does he just keep it stock and drive a Corvette?
Yeah, he kept them stock. Put a lift kit on it. Does that count?
Yeah, that doesn't affect the sound.
It's like, well, why does it get 13 miles per gallon? I said, "Well, Dad, you have 35-inch tires and a lift kit on it."
Yeah, it do be like that.
It's a V6 though. It's supposed to get good fuel economy. I said, "Not when you have a lift kit and 35-inch tires. It doesn't work that way, Dad."
Yeah, not when you're always in the boost.
Yeah, he actually now has the Lincoln Navigator with the 3.5 in it as well, and I think he just really got hooked on that engine. It's pretty good. He tows a lot with his boats and RVs. So
they don't even offer a V8 in the new Navigators. You get EcoBoost or you get hybrid.
Huh.
Yeah,
I didn't know that hybrid in there.
Yep, it's at least I was reading about it. The hybrid is more powerful than the non-hybrid, obviously. Like more horsepower and torque, which is pretty sweet.
Wonder what engine it's made it to.
I'm sure it's the 3.5. Oh, and the hybrid? Let's see here.
Yeah. This is an intermission.
Yeah. While we do some Googling. Oh my God, starting at $76,000.
Oh yeah.
Oh my.
They're nuts. I have a friend that has one, and I believe it had 105,000 or right around 100,000 price tag on it, but it's like the top tiered. I think it's the black or
the
like
black label.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever the top tiered one is, it's stupid expensive. There's a reserve. It was over 90 and it was crazy expensive. I guess after TT&L is knocking on the door of 100,000.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, the new Escalade, man, that thing is kicking through the $100,000 door.
Jeez, that's just nuts to think about. And I see these like on a regular basis. Like,
yeah, everywhere. They're everywhere.
Y'all are driving vehicles that like that's your one vehicle. Like, what are your other ones? And you have you add them all up, and that's like the price of a house. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And then there's just regular people. I mean, like having $1,000 car payments. Can't imagine it.
Yeah, I mean it's easy to do now, man, when things are so dang expensive. 450 horsepower, 510 foot-pounds of torque. I'm not seeing the hybrid specs though, which is pretty impressive. Like 510 foot-pounds of torque's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, the Ford GT only makes 675 horsepower or 647. And this is putting out, 450.
I think that 600 mark is kind of getting close to its limits. I've heard of a few guys around the 600, maybe around the 700 mark, but from my just general internet scrolling, it seems like 600. Maybe low 700s is about what this thing's capable of for its having problems.
Start doing internals and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how much. I mean, I'm assuming there's plenty of that stuff available, but I feel like if you're really willing to put that much time and effort into it, it's I think I would just rather just put a V8 in it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, realistically, this engine is not any smaller than a V8. It might not be as long as one, but it's still
Certainly
an
is
overhead
wide.
cam. It's an overhead cam engine, yeah, and it's not a small engine by any means. With the 3.5 liter Fulia, it's not small.
Ford loves that Dodge.
Huge.
They do love to go overhead.
Yeah, Ford, yeah, but
okay, it's the Aviator, the smaller one that has the hybrid.
Okay.
So 3-liter twin turbo V6.
Yeah, I don't really know much about that 3-liter, but I have been reading a few little things here and there about it, and I guess it's kind of based off the same thing, but
yeah, it's dual electric motors, 13.6 kW and a 75 kW, 494 horsepower and 630 foot-pounds of torque, doing 0 to 60 in 5.5, 5,700 pounds.
That's pretty good. I mean, but that's basically what the new, I've already been looking at them, the new Ford Explorer ST, which is, I think they came out in 2020.
Yeah.
It's still, I believe it's still 3.5. Maybe it's the 3-liter. I don't know. But yeah, they're basically like 5.5 seconds, 0 to 60.
That's a hybrid though. The Ford isn't. Yeah,
Ford Explorer ST, which basically replaced our vehicle. They stopped making the Sport, and now they have the ST.
Yeah, it's 400 horsepower.
Yeah, and it's pretty quick. I think ours is supposed to be like 0 to 60 like 6 flat, and so this one's beats it by half a second, which is a lot.
Yeah, let's see here.
After having this, like it to me, it really makes sense. Like, if you're a car guy and you like going fast and you like having a powerful vehicle, but maybe it doesn't quite make sense for you to have multiple vehicles. Driving something like the Jeep SRT8 kind of makes sense because these SUVs they're fun. I mean, when you get plenty of power behind them, you kind of got sport tuned suspension and transmission and everything, and a real good powerful engine, especially with all-wheel drive as well. Man, yeah. I really like them. I think it's maybe something new for me that I might enjoy more in the future.
Yeah, the ST it does have the 3-liter EcoBoost.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why they strayed away from it, but maybe the fuel economy things. I was a little disappointed. Fuel economy, it's we're averaging about 18, which isn't bad. I mean, it is it does have third row seatings. It's not like a full size SUV, so I think it's still kind of like a mid-size.
Right.
But yeah, and we took a little road trip, and I was able to squeeze like just milking it like 21 miles per gallon out of it. So it's not bad, but I really was expecting a lot better. But everybody that's owned one's basically like, yeah, the EcoBoost is really not great on fuel economy, like they advertised it to be.
Not so eco.
Yeah, eco or boost.
Yeah.
You either go really slow and you can get decent fuel economy and really milk it, or if you're getting into it, it's gonna dump a bunch of fuel in there.
Yeah, the ST is 400 horsepower and 415 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, that's pretty solid for a soccer car.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not too shabby.
Not bad at all. Yeah, I'd drive it. We'll probably end up in one of those few years, or a 4-door Bronco if I have my way.
That's literally what I just pulled up. I was going to say, or a Bronco.
Yeah, gosh, man.
I haven't seen one yet. Have you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I haven't seen. I'm seeing the Sports pretty regularly. I drive 200 miles a day for work, and I'm on the road all the time, so I see just about everything. And I'm seeing the Sports not every day, but I'm seeing a few of them a week, and I have not seen one full-size Bronco, neither the 2-door or the 4-door on the road. And a little disappointed because I've been looking forward to seeing them. And I guess time will tell. We'll start seeing them. But I'm pretty excited about it, man. There's still a lot of hate on the just having the 2.7, but the 3.5 has proven itself. 2.7 is pretty much based on it, and it's awesome. And
right.
the 2.7 is going to be a great platform for this vehicle, which is really a small SUV. I mean, it might look big with big tires and everything, but it's a small SUV. Plus,
who knows? With the Raptor R coming out, they haven't announced yet, but I'm sure a lot of the technology would cross over fairly easy to make a Bronco R.
SVT is definitely going to get a hold of the Bronco at some point in time. I think they're just going to.
Well, they already have. They've raced Baja 1000 in it. Like they've made race trucks.
I mean, for general public, I think what they're going to do, what they do with just about everything, is they're going to release it. They're going to make a ton of money off of it, and then once the people are like, all right, I got this great vehicle and dumped all my money into it, then the next year it's gonna be like, now SVT got a hold of it. Now you get a bigger, better engine in it with like 37-inch tires and all the works and everything else, and they're gonna go trade that thing in for the new one.
Right, and that's when you and I move in.
Yeah, let me get your cheap one.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Well, I think that's about good for now. We've been going for almost an hour, buddy.
Wow. Okay.
But we'll cut it off there. See everyone again next week. Thanks for listening. It's good talking to you again, buddy. And see everyone next week. Thanks. Hey everyone, thanks as always for listening to this week's episode of Chris Talks Cars. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review the show on whatever platform you're using. Also follow us on Instagram. I'm at Chris Talks Cars. He is Brandon Cole 67, and we will see you next week.